Welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio. You're here with your host, Lavonne, live from the Love Lab this evening. Thank you for joining me on what I like to call objective perspective. This evening is the time where we try and balance the news with some really cool information and how you can be your best. Tonight, I'm really excited to be joined live in the studio by Mr. Robinson and Mr. McDonald. Please introduce yourselves and tell people what you do and why you're here.
Well, my name is Eric Robinson. I'm a beekeeper and I'm also a rocket scientist. And I supply components for the spacecraft that are traveling around the universe. The Dawn mission, which is out on the asteroid belt right now, the Curiosity rover, and a lot of communication satellites. But my hobbies are beekeeping and also thorium energy. So we just got back from the thorium conference, 2 days up in Palo Alto. All the major thorium manufacturers in the world were all there. People who are trying to build computers and reactors that will run on thorium. And to my left is James McDonald.
Hello, my name is James McDonald. I'm a beekeeper.
You sound like Corday.
I do live bee removal to try to save our bee as an alternative to poisoning them. And we need our bees. They're dying at record rates.
We do.
We do. And that's how I make a living. But my real passion is getting some of the pesticides and herbicides out of the environment that are destroying the bees. And that's my story.
And it's really important that people know what these toxins do to them and how they affect them. And we published an article called 5 Reasons Why You Should March Against Monsanto Tomorrow last week, or the week before. I can't remember how many weeks it's been now. But look it up in our archives. It's very short and sweet and to the point. Basically, these things are killing us. It's a slow death, and it's just one of the problems, but it's really affecting our ecosystem, and our little bees need our help. So thank you guys for being beekeepers. And what does that entail? A lot of people think that you hinder the bees or you hurt the bees by keeping them. Could you remove some of
No, you love them and hug them and kiss them.
Well, obviously you sing to them and you guys like hang out together. But can you...
You nurture them. I mean, at the end of the day, if your bees aren't happy, they're not healthy. And if your goal is to produce a lot of bees, I mean, we will feed them.
How do you keep them happy?
Keep them happy. Well, that's why, I mean, there's a new product called the Flow Hive. I don't want to bash it, but you turn a little plastic lever and little plastic things open up and honey comes dripping out and you never have to look at your bees. And it's done a lot of harm to the concept of beekeeping. Twice a month you should open it. Look for something that's wrong. They have to have brood. They have to have a right ratio of pollen and honey. And they need empty cells where you get colonies that get honey bound. There's so much honey they can't even lay an egg. So you really have to nurture them and take care of them. And a big thing is keep them away from pesticides.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been doing it all my life. I've been doing it as a business for 2 years now.
So what have you seen? How are bees' lives before the mass use of pesticides versus now? Like you're very concerned. We do a lot of work in the community, and we're going to talk about an event where people can come make a huge difference locally here in San Diego on Wednesday. But
6 o'clock, City Hall.
And what's happening, and why is that important?
Well, that's really important because the primary pesticide that is killing the bees is a systemic pesticide. In the old days, we would spray it on the outside of the plant, kill the bugs on the outside. Now, once a year, you just pour it into the ground. The chemical is expressed in the pollen, the nectar, the leaves. So every creature visiting that plant, and the story gets worse. If they found bees are attracted to it, it is a nicotine molecule.
It's like a drug.
Just like we smoke, the latest report is, you give a bee the choice between sugar water tainted with neonicotinoid and pure organic sugar. They go for the chemical. They go for the nicotine buzz.
So we need to get these bees some
and it's not just the bees, it's the butterflies, the hummingbirds, the beetles, the base of our food chain is really dependent on the bugs, and we're just wiping them out.
And we live in a symbiotic world.
Not anymore.
We were supposed to. And Mr. Einstein, you know, he knew some things. He says if bees die, we all die. You know,
I've got a theory on that. I keep hearing that we can live without the bee. There's natural pollinators. But I think, like so much of what Einstein said, there's a lot more than...
Well, he spoke in metaphors.
In metaphors as well, but where that's 100% true is the bee is the canary in the coal mine. If we can't even support something as strong as a bee, that means everything else is dying. Yes. And that's what I think Einstein meant. And I think it's true.
The butterfly effect. You know, Einstein said if you can't explain anything simply, you don't understand it.
If you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it yourself.
Yes, exactly. That's what he said. And for him to say...
I do want to make a note here. I'm not a rocket scientist. Simple is the only thing I know. So.
Oh my gosh. But it's important to realize that we are all connected. And speaking of connection, I would really like you guys to call in tonight. Take advantage of these brilliant minds converging, whatever. 1-718-717-8296. Join our conversation. Do you guys have any questions about what these men do and why avoiding these pesticides are important? Or if you want to know anything about gardening or bees, call us. But please, Mr.
So if anyone says that that beekeepers are, you know, enslaving the bees or not being kind to the bees, they don't really understand how a beehive works. A beehive is it's a place where bees want to live. It's you invite them into your beehive, and they'll accept it if it's a nice place and if they feel comfortable there and they're protected. So one of the things we have to protect bees against is ants. So we put an ant barrier up to keep the ants out. Bees and ants have been battling for 100 million years. They're ancient enemies, so we have to protect our bees from being overrun by ants. And there's also things called wax moth, and there's mites, and there's lots of other little critters that can harass your bees. So one thing we do in a beehive is we create an environment where the bees are comfortable and they can have a lot of babies and they can create honey and even a little bit of extra honey so that we can harvest some without damaging the hive. If you take all the honey out of the hive, then you end up starving the bees, and that's a bad problem too. So you really don't want to do that. So we do harvest a few other natural products out of the beehive, and I think that James has been making potions and so forth out of it. I'll let him explain a little bit more about what he's been doing with the products coming out of beehives.
Well, I could have a few hours on that. I mean, the big one.
The Einstein version.
The Einstein version. Lip balms, but there's also, I'm big into bee venom therapy right now. And this isn't a hippie alternative cure, although I have a lot of those. It's accepted by the American Medical Association for multiple sclerosis and arthritis. And the bee stings are, I've been seeing some amazing results. Propolis. And here's the problem, on a cut or a wound, you put on something like Neosporin or Listerine, it kills all the bacteria.
The good flora and
the good flora. Now, bees run on a very similar microbial system that we do. So in other words, we need our beneficial bacteria. In this propolis, you use it and it kills the bad bacteria and it leaves the good bacteria and lets them live. The actual things I'm making, the marketable thing, is just Burt's Bees has been bought by Clorox. And
also, I'd like to say that Tom's toothpaste is owned by a conglomerate. I'm not even going to say who, but Dr. Bronner just came out with an all-natural toothpaste. They are an awesome company, and I fully support them. If you want some toothpaste that's not going to kill you, go get it. Or you can make your own.
Make your own.
What do you do?
For toothpaste?
Mm-hmm.
I use I had horrific cavities, and I'm too cheap and lazy to make it to the dentist. And I started chewing this. Every night I go to bed with a little bit of propolis. Mm-hmm. My cavity reversed itself.
That's what you were telling me last week.
My teeth are fine now.
Okay. This is important to know, and this is a major. This is a message that I strongly believe in, and I share with you guys often. Is that we've been living with this land for Who knows how long? It's arguable. Um, and people can get everything they need from the earth. You don't have to have something made in a factory and shipped all over the world. And we really have the ability to localize everything if we live in harmony. Like, do you know about a food forest? Do you guys know about a food forest? Like, it's basically where you recreate how nature would grow if we weren't containing everything. Basically, you would have things growing wildly, just in unison. There are companion plants, and they group together naturally, and they only grow and thrive because they support each other. Like certain plants pull nutrients from
And
the
what
deep bottom.
produces nitrogen? It's peas and
Woo!
Yeah, legumes.
legumes produce nitrogen, and other plants consume it. And
Exactly.
crop rotation.
Exactly. And if you
We don't do crop rotation.
no,
Just
that's
douse it with
that's what's
tons
wrong.
of chemical
Is
petroleum fertilizer.
and I've shared this message often because it's very important, and this is my main argument with people who are pro GMO is it's not natural to grow only fields of corn, only fields of wheat, only fields of soy, and not rotate them.
Monoculture.
In monoculture,
And that's
exactly.
another factor that's decimating the bees.
It's I gotta get that phone, but it's opposite. It's literally opposite land of what should be or what's intended.
Are you going to do monocrops and how it's affecting the bees?
I just want to talk about something also called meta honey. So there's actually a new pharmaceutical called meta honey, which basically is honey. And I met this guy in Vista, and he had a wound on his leg that wasn't healing. It had been on there. I thought maybe he had diabetes or something. It had been an open sore for 3 months, and they put honey on it, and it healed within a few days. So I think that's one thing that's also important for healing is that honey's got a lot of capability
Oh
there
my
too.
gosh,
On
it's amazing.
on Horse and Rider for horses, front cover for those wounds that nothing else will heal, use honey. Raw natural honey right on that horse's wound clears up things that modern science cannot fix.
When my baby had a rash, my mother thought I was insane when I said we need to go to the farmer's market and get some local raw honey, and we need to put it on there. It should be better. But it cleared up. We have something called honey elixir in my house, where I take said honey, local raw honey, and I mix it with cinnamon. And if the kids are sick, they just eat that. Coconut oil, and you get better.
But from the dawn of time, they always knew honey and lemon is an amazing cure. And then they filter and process all the good stuff out, put it in a drop, and say, well, this will fix you. No, it's actually right now on the internet, there's a thing called Honey Lemon Challenge. Squeeze half a lemon and put in a teaspoon of honey, and your life's supposed to be changed in a year. Drink it every morning.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a substitute for coffee, too.
Well,
and the bee
honey's a
stings.
superfood.
The bee stings are a good substitute for coffee. Wake up, sting yourself. I guarantee you. You're awake.
You don't need the caffeine.
But it's true. It's true. Honey is amazing. The ancient Egyptians used honey for all sorts of things. We find it in their tombs, perfectly preserved because the bees are incredibly clean. And how is honey made? I don't think people understand.
Let me do a bit on the mummy thing. We come across mummified mice and rats all the time in hives. A mouse will come in, and they will live for a time, but then sometimes they'll get out of hand and they'll kill them. The bees desiccate them, cover them in propolis, and you get these preserved mice in hives all the time, mummified.
Are you kidding?
No.
I did not know such a thing happened. That is cool.
I got a great elixir one time at a farmer's market. You take propolis, which is a great antibiotic, mix a little bit of alcohol, and boy, you can swab that on any kind of a sore throat you've got. You just put it in your mouth. You can put it externally or internally in your throat, your eye, nose, and throat, any of those places. This stuff's a great little elixir too.
That's good to know. I've had propolis chewing gum from the health food store, just because most chewing gum has aspartame, which is a neurotoxin. It removes like the sheath over your nerves, and that's why you get people with these conditions where they can't control their nerves. Like they're firing rapidly, Mm-hmm. Imagine if you plug something in and it didn't have any coating on the wire. Like that's happening inside of you. That's not normal. So you want to avoid things like that, and that's in everybody's chewing gum. So check out some propolis chewing gum. It exists and it's amazing. It feels so clean and you've never had anything like that. And I think people should know, like, the bees do so many amazing things. They don't just fly around smelling flowers and scaring you. Like,
You asked the
people,
question, what goes into making that honey?
yeah,
We'll let
what
Eric answer
happened?
that. People always ask me that. Ask me that
You're like,
question.
I'm done with it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. But
No, I mean, well, my understanding is that bees chew it up and the nectar. They bring the nectar back to the hive, and there's bees in the hive. So most of the bees that you see flying around, that's 1/5 of the population. The rest of them all have internal jobs within the hive. Some are making wax, some are feeding the babies, and this is making honey. So they get the nectar, they process it with their own saliva, and they put it back into the comb, and then they have to evaporate the water out of it. So that takes days, maybe even a couple of weeks for all the water to evaporate out. You're trying to get what they call a water content less than 18%. And when it gets to be that thick, then the honey is thick enough and there's so little water in it that the honey will remain unfermented. If this water content is higher than 18%, the honey can ferment. So that's why bees are always pushing it down below that level because then it's safe to stay in the hive and it stays preserved forever.
Wow. So honey is condensed essence of flowers.
nectar.
Yeah,
And
nectar
they add
from
an enzyme.
flowers.
They add an enzyme.
And where did this
And
enzyme
desiccated.
comes from their
Well,
digestion?
I do want to comment. There's another internet misinformation, and I hear it at festivals all the time. Honey is bee vomit.
Yes, I hear this all the time.
Okay, it's a separate fact. I know it's like I compare it to if a monkey grabs an apple from a tree and hands it to you, is that monkey poo?
No.
No, I mean it's crazy. They collect the nectar, they dry it out, add an enzyme to protect it, and that's what honey is.
Oh, it's literally my favorite thing in the whole world.
Yeah, if you do want to know what bee poop is, that's the stuff that sometimes ends up on your car. It's a little tiny yellow dot. It's on your.
Oh, I've seen
It
that.
doesn't. It's hard to get off your windshield sometimes, but that's what bee poop looks like.
Oh, thanks, Steve. Well, if you could all do that at the same time, I could have a big yellow car. Can we put it erase
Queen
it?
Love Cat.
Can we train your
We
bees
can
to
organize
poop on my
it.
car?
I'll pull some strings. Get a few thousand bees to poop on your car.
That would be awesome.
And one other product from bees is is a cure for local pollen allergies. So
Yeah.
people can chew the capping wax. So when you're gonna spin honey, you have to first scrape off the capping wax. This wax is the highest quality wax in the hive. And if you chew that wax, it's got pollen in it. It's a natural chewing gum, and it will also make you immune to local pollen. Any place those bees have been foraging, the pollen from those plants will be immune to that if you chew that capping wax.
That would be something that would be important for new mothers, especially. Like, your baby takes on everything as filtered through your breast milk. So if you're supporting your immune system with things that are so wonderfully pure like that and strong, your baby will passively adapt those qualities. Like, everything you're immune to, your baby becomes immune to in their first few weeks of life through breast milk. So that's really important to creating a sustainable society. Like, you want people who are naturally well and don't have to rely on chemicals or drugs or pharmaceuticals. Like, your food becomes you. So if you choose to be a wonderfully organically grown garden, like pesticide free eating, and just try your best to avoid processed things, like, imagine what your cells would be composed of, essentially. Like, ponder that. It's so profound. Like, we can build ourselves. Every 28 days, all of your cells, all 30 trillion of them, that numbers are
Well, you can also destroy yourselves.
Yeah,
And that's what a lot of these chemicals are
I
doing.
tell people, when you eat, you're literally hindering your health or you're healing your health. You have a conscious choice every time. And I'm not ragging on you. I'm not claiming to be perfect. I ate 4 donuts today. I'm not kidding. I ate 4 donuts. One before I went to bed last night. One when I woke up. I had the worst stomachache. I'm not kidding. But then I had 2 during the day because I balance. I believe balance. And if I'm going to grow an organic garden and eat really well, sometimes I'm going to need to eat 4 donuts. And that's just how it goes.
Well, one more product comes out of a beehive is royal jelly. So royal jelly is interesting.
Ooh.
It's what makes the difference between a queen who lives for 3 or 4 years and a worker bee who works himself to death in about 6 weeks. So it makes a big difference what you eat, and royal jelly is certainly a superfood. And so yeah, I've got a friend who was diagnosed with cancer, and instead of going and getting chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery, she decided to go home and buy a horse and raise an organic garden.
Yes, I'm getting horse manure for my garden. I'm so excited.
And so, yeah, that was her way of coming to terms with her own fear. The horse kind of took her mind off the bad diagnosis that she got. And I think her website is called, what's it called? Uh, it's a Facebook page. I'll have to go look it up. It's the end of cancer. Fear no cancer. Something like that. It's great.
So she grew a garden,
Bought a
nurtured
horse.
with horse manure.
She got something called a masticator. So instead of a blender, which oxygenates the food, she got a masticator, just crushes it without giving a lot of oxygen in there. And she drank the juice from all the different plants that she grew in her garden. And she brought herself back, and she's been cancer free for 10 years as of a couple of months ago.
And I hear this same empowering story over and over and over again. Why is it such a foreign concept to us? We've become so disconnected from our roots. Literally. There's something called earthing. You guys should check it out. Everything has a frequency. Like, do you know what sound the earth makes when you're in space? What does it sound like? You know.
I think it's a note. There's gongs that play that song.
Like
Yeah.
It wasn't ohms.
It's just no. It rings like a bell.
Yeah.
I've had these beautiful experiences during meditation, and I can tell when my spirit gets a certain place because of what I hear. Like the heavens or the universe or whatever you want to call it has a sound. It's so beautiful. So everything is alive with this vibration, and when you connect to the earth, you pick up on this energy. And I play I play music of certain frequencies to my plants. They are enormous. I sing to them. I've been tuning my voice, and I can play like certain keys, and that's been a hobby of mine. Tesla, you know about Tesla?
Yep.
It's very powerful. Like I want to be a sonic weapon of love.
One bee related thing. There's one note, and I'm not allowed to disclose what it is.
Oh.
But you strum it, and bees become completely passive. I haven't tested it or retested it, but yes, they respond to frequency. All that calming effect smoke has, you can get it by creating the right pitch that just mellows bees right out.
Well, that's why in my house I have certain diffused light. I really avoid these harsh, horrible tube lights here because it's a certain frequency. When my kids are being nuts, I play certain songs like, oh, the Beatles, good. You know, they just, certain Elvis songs, like, you just know how to, or I start singing certain songs and they just completely calm down. So this is important to know, you know, experience that knowledge and realize how important being with the earth is. And maybe that will encourage you to grow a garden. I'm late for work a lot. I am, because I get stuck out in the garden and I don't realize. I'm like, oh, I have to check on the plants really quick before I go to work, and then it's like, oh my gosh, you know, time just stops. And it's the most beautiful experience, and I wish everyone to have it. It's just, you guys grow food, right? You guys grow things.
That's right.
Do you share that experience with me? Like, where you just want to sleep in your yard?
With my bees.
I just want to hang out with my plants, man.
I'm growing kale. It's delightful. I put it in the blender every morning and have it with my cereal. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, with the bees, everyone imagines these big dramatic things, and sometimes I will spend the most time just sitting and staring at them, just watching them come. They get into this rhythm, and it just calms you right down.
I wonder if they buzz.
They buzz.
There's a certain, what hertz is that?
When I first started beekeeping, I tripped when someone said, I can hear when they're unhappy. I can hear, and I've been doing it though. I can hear when they don't have a queen. When they don't,
you know what they sound like.
And the way they act, they're not content, but they definitely do the pitch.
Well, I used to raise parakeets,
Turkey.
okay?
Yay.
And I could tell, same thing. I spent so much time with these birds, I knew what their peeps meant. I could tell when they were distressed. I could tell when they wanted bath. Like I'm a mother. Each cry, each frequency of cry that your baby has, each, and you learn over time that, oh, this cry means this. It's like a little code, and you're learning this language, and it's so beautiful because you go, I can talk to this creature, and you can communicate with nonverbal communication by looking, and think about when you talk to your dog and you point and he goes, oh. There's a unspoken language that we all know, and it's sounds. And I've had a whole hour discussion about how I feel like a lot of our problems come from us not understanding each other because these words are not innate. Like, I think we're supposed to sing at each other. Wouldn't that be cool if we're all supposed to just like vocalize sounds and not essentially words?
Yeah. Well, that sounds a lot like the whale.
The whale, right. This is a great segue into something that's very, very important to our planet and sustainability.
So
Please.
I was looking into an article about an experiment called SOFEX, Southern Ocean Fertilization Experiment. It was designed by a professor at Scripps Institute, PhD, and he said that the ocean is anemic. And people are like, "You're crazy! What do you mean the ocean's anemic?" He goes, "So I put a small amount of iron in the ocean. It will catalyze a huge fertilization event, which will create a lot of plankton, and then that will create a lot of krill, and then that will create a lot of abundance in other animals that eat krill. Pretty much the bottom of the food chain in the ocean is krill. Everything can eat it. The birds, the fish, the mammals, even humans can eat krill. So it was an interesting theory, and they went out and tried it. It was true. The Southern Ocean is anemic. And I was like, isn't that strange that the ocean would be anemic? Isn't there some way the ocean should be in balance? Isn't there some way for, organic, natural iron to get into the ocean? And somebody said, oh yeah, well maybe like a dust storm over the Gobi Desert will get this iron into the air, will drop into the ocean. But still, it was kind of bothering me. In the back of my head, I was thinking, God, I can't believe the ocean's anemic. And then I read an article about sperm whales. Sperm whales are huge toothed whales. They go to the bottom of the ocean, mile and a mile and a half down. Their brain almost goes into a meditative state as they descend. They go to the bottom, these deep pressures that nothing human could ever withstand. And they hunt for these gigantic squid down there. They eat them, they battle them, they eat them, they come back to the surface. And they're full of all this squid, which is iron rich. And then at the surface, they defecate. So this is the cycle, the natural cycle. During the whaling events of the early 1900s, we killed 1.1 million sperm whales, along with lots of other species of whales. So now these whales are all gone, and that iron cycle is broken. And so whales actually were the bioengineers of a healthy, fertile ocean. And that link is still broken. I mean, right now the whales are reproducing at about 4% per year. So there's 100,000 or so sperm whales that are coming back. But blue whales, there were 330,000 of those. There's less than 10,000 blue whales left. And blue whales also, they have something called the krill paradox. The krill paradox is this. You think, well, krill are the species which is being predated against. Whales, big baleen whales eat krill. So if the big baleen whales go away, the krill should do what? Explode, be happy in population. They say, yay, we're not being hunted anymore. But exactly the opposite happens. When the whales go away, the krill goes away. Because whales, through their defecation, make nutrients bioavailable for the krill to eat. So now we go back and look. Well,
ooh, we're getting a call there.
Oh, good.
One second, okay?
It better be about krill and the krill paradox.
Hey, welcome to the program. Thanks for calling. What's your name? Hello? Hello? Oh, that's strange. It says that.
They must not like krill.
Interesting. Hello? I'm sorry we couldn't hear you. Please call us back if you have a chance.
Get the volume up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that.
We know where the volume is.
Yeah, we heard it earlier. We would have been able to hear him.
The volume paradox.
The volume paradox. Yeah, we should be
Oh, we did
good.
hear it earlier. That's true.
Yeah, we were good. We don't have the webcam on. But continue talking, Eric, while I check out the settings here.
All right. So um, my my big epiphany was I realized that when there were 10 times as many whales, there were actually 10 times as many krill. And if there were 10 times as many krill, the food pyramid in the ocean was 10 times bigger than it is now. And can you imagine how much carbon would be involved in 10 times the biomass in the ocean right now if it was 10 times greater? I mean, every time you have an event where there's a fertilization event and and plankton starts to grow, all that CO2 is coming out of the atmosphere. So we're all afraid of global warming right now, right? Gone above 450 parts per million. Started at about 250. So I think that what we need to do is think about the ocean as the largest carbon sink on the planet. We can get rid of global warming if we just put the whales back where they were. It's not save the whales, it's replace the whales. We have to put the whales back into balance the way they were pre-whale hunting. So that's my mission now, is to try to figure out ways to fertilize the ocean using nitrogenous waste, small amount of iron, going to certain places in the ocean where we can create huge algae blooms, which will create huge populations of krill, which will kick the ocean up a notch and get it started again. I kind of thought of it almost like you think of trees, do almost the same thing. Where trees, they create an environment. A tree sends its roots deep into the soil. It brings up nutrients. It takes sunlight. It turns it into carbohydrate. It creates an environment for other plants and animals. And so the trees are kind of the same thing. If you cut down 90% of the trees, you obviously have 90% of the oxygen gone. You'd be creating havoc with the environment. So the same thing that happened to the whales. I think that we really need to think seriously because our lives do depend on it. Why are all these species going extinct in the ocean? Is it just overfishing? It's more than just overfishing. It's the ocean itself is broken, and we can fix it by putting the whales back.
With my personal quest to save the insects, save the bees, it's not just them gone. They're the base of the food chain.
Right.
And and it's way more complex than this. It goes down to the fungus. There's little fungus. I mean, we have microbials in our stomach that we need to exist. And the fungus and the molds and the spores, bees, humans, everything need them to survive. And we're just covering them in glyphosate. Just kill them all.
What is that? What is glyphosate?
The standard ingredient in Roundup, the
Right.
herbicide. And that stuff will sterilize the soil. That delicate balance we were talking about that pertains to the whale, it's not just the whale. It's everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just messing with it.
Right.
And totally unaware of the consequences. And worse than that, they'll do a test on pesticide, and they'll say, well, that's relatively safe. And then they'll do a test on herbicide, and that's relatively safe. What happens when you mix the two together? There's zero test on that. What chemical reactions are happening with pesticides and herbicides? We don't know. We know everything's dying, but we don't know why or how. The whole balance is getting shifted for the worse.
That reminds me, actually, Alan Mikulich, who is a commercial beekeeper,
Yeah, Ellen, one of my heroes.
lives in the area. In 2011, he lost 90% of his bees.
75% this year.
Yeah, every year since it's been 70 to 75%. And he mentioned that same thing you talked about a minute ago. He said when you mix together the pesticide and the fungicide, or the pesticide and the herbicide together, that it completely destroys the bees' immune system. And he had his bees coming back to the hive, and they're looking at them. They were spraying, working. It's just, you got to pick a smart time to spray. You should spray at night when the bees are in their hive.
Mm-hmm.
And the bees were all coming back, and their little tongues were hanging out. They were just like, they were coming back half dead. And the entire hives, were dead within a few days. So, I mean, we got to be a little bit smarter than we are today. That's for sure.
It makes me wonder, like, the people who initiate said toxins into the environment and are backing this financially are people who are unaware, like us. But the people who are aware, what's their agenda? Like, I want to know the action that causes the reaction. These are all subproducts, all the things we're talking about today, of the products. what's the product? It, it's the chemical. So why is the chemical being distributed? What's the agenda?
Instant gratification. No one wants to work.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, soap and water kills bugs. Fine. Go do it once a week.
Yeah. Like,
But the chemicals they have now, you pour it in the ground, disappear for a year, and your plant's still there.
you know what
But
I
they're
do?
not looking at the repercussions.
In my garden, I use companion planting, and I literally put Dr. Bronner soap. I love this stuff. Seriously, I do everything with it. I put Dr. Bronner soap. It's funny. In a Roundup box, like a Roundup
I got
sprayer.
a Roundup bottle full,
Yeah, I got a Roundup
full of
sprayer,
vinegar.
and I crossed it out.
Vinegar and salt.
Yeah,
The weed killer.
I crossed
Vinegar
it
and
out.
salt kills weeds right away. Put it in them, but I'm out there with my big Roundup
Yeah,
sprayer.
I have a Roundup
I gotta keep
sprayer.
my face covered. I hope no one sees me.
But
And
I
by the
have-
way, they make an excellent sprayer. You
It's
can
an
take what you want.
No, the sprayer's great, but you make it your own. You make it an anti-Roundup sprayer. And so I put this all natural soap, and then I suspend like neem oil in it. And
Neem oil.
good clean water. I love neem oil, and I make my own bug repellent. And I don't do it all the time. Just when it, like you can tell, you become one with your plants, and they go, "Hey, I need this thing," and you go, "Okay." You speak another language with them, you know, and just like those little bird peeps and your baby cry and
We had a
your bees buzzing.
a neem oil conversation before I was thinking deep repellent. If you have ants attacking your hive and you just kill them, they don't go back and tell the colony anything. You use a repellent like neem oil.
Oh, we talked about this.
It doesn't kill them, and almost all bugs have a social unit, and they do communicate danger as well as a food source.
Yeah.
And if you just kill them, Eric used the comparison that when they would capture human prisoners, they wouldn't kill them all because they wanted one or two to go back and tell what happened.
Oh yeah, you need someone to document.
You want someone to document, and you put
want
these repellents in your house or your vegetables, and it doesn't kill the bugs. They go back and tell their buddies to avoid this place, and
Yeah.
you get a higher result. And also another thing to think about when you just killing all the bugs, you're killing the predator bugs, you're killing the ladybugs, you're killing the praying mantises. What other delightful predator bugs do we have?
Crickets.
Crickets. You're killing the crickets. So you
And
don't
I
get
surely
this.
do miss the sound of crickets.
I miss it.
I
I
love
used
that
to
sound.
always have them.
And there used to be like fireflies around
I mean,
in San Diego. Like
we're-
seriously, I would see all kinds of
We're
bugs.
sterilizing everything. And it's so far beyond just killing the bug. We're
And
killing
and
the bacteria and the fungus that they depend on.
here's the thing: when I was a kid and I wanted to play with bugs, they were there in abundance.
Yeah.
I could go find a ladybug in my backyard, 10, 20, 30 of them. They were just there. Now I'm like, wait, I have to go on Amazon and I have to buy some ladybugs? How does this work?
I asked a kid the other day if he was really into bugs, if he'd seen any Japanese rock beetles. And they're these little beetles that look like a rock. Never seen one. They were everywhere when I was a kid. Bumblebees. Bumblebees were everywhere in San Diego. You never see them anymore.
They're never at this altitude. You can see them at the tops of mountains. They kind of they like hidden away into retreat areas where they're not being bothered anymore. But they're gone at this elevation down to the sea level.
Wow. So what do we do, you guys? How do you...
Protest. A revolution. We need a good old-fashioned revolution.
Yeah, we need to go. We're mad as hell. We're not going to take it anymore. And we need to go outside. And we need to be...
We need to be aware and education. I mean, I did it for years. I came from Ireland. I love gardenias. I went and bought a systemic pesticide and had no idea what I was doing. I just never connected the dots. And I'm not an isolated case. I deal with customers all the time that just say, well, if I stop using these chemicals, everything's going to die. No, that's not how it works. And in being aware of what you're doing when you are sterilizing your soil.
And it's within...
What do we do?
We've been
And
conditioned.
boots on the ground. Show up at City Hall. Someone once
Talk about that.
told me that the people that are against your idea are going to be there, so you better be there. And I was just in shock. They have the Encinitas Environmental Commission. Major world topics on hand. Global warming, the plastics that are choking our oceans. And the gallery's empty. Now, if they have a city council meeting on regulations on dog poop, packed. You know, they're really upset. And they're angry because someone's dog pooped on their lawn. Or a crosswalk. And it just, we need people showing up, contacting your assemblymen, congressmen,
And club, bee club.
Bee clubs. Join your local bee club.
Our local bee club meets
Revolt.
second Monday of the month in room 101 in the Prado, which is this coming Monday. So if you're into beekeeping at all, you want to learn about
I'm
beekeeping,
going.
come to the bee club meeting. It's at 6 p.m. room 101 in the Prado in Balboa Park every second Monday of the month.
And can we talk about Jeff Harms in the pollinator garden at Balboa Park?
Let's please do that.
He has a gorgeous, gorgeous part of Balboa Park. Not one pesticide, not one herbicide, local indigenous plants. And here's another connection. Drought resistance. We're in a drought. The drought-resistant plants also are great for the bees. They're indigenous plants. They're hardy. And we've got this beautiful section in Balboa Park created by Jeff Harms and the Bee Society to show what can be done to save our pollinators and how much beauty can be created 100% naturally.
So please check that out.
Check that out.
It's important to know, like, the history of the place in which you inhabit. Like, I know the entire history of California.
Oh, tell us about Nepal. Now that we're on natural plants.
Exactly. In San Diego is a desert, and we import all of our water. And I know what plants are indigenous. I know how the indigenous people lived for 10,000 years. I know how this land was conquered 2 times. I know the people whose hands it changed from. I know who used to be the first mayor and where he lived.
Well, you know a lot of stuff.
I know my town. I know what people have gone through to live. You know what I mean? The ancestors of those people still live in the outskirts of our cities. Do they not?
Yeah,
you know, like this place has so much history. San Diego's the birthplace of California, and it's an honor to live here with so much culture.
I work with Amy Admire from the Senyo Indians out in Rincon. And right now she's teaching, and I learned a ton. I'm telling her what I know about apiotherapy in bee health. And right now, all her kids are only using medicine from their reservation. And they're just doing, things from lovely hair to good teeth to curing colds. There's so much healthy, natural stuff. And there's that new term. It's called xeriscape or zero landscaping. Plants you can plant that you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I've been doing that around here. Like all the places where I'm not growing food, I'm planting like cacti and different types of succulents and nopales.
Yes, that's incredible.
It's the only indigenous plant here. I'm sorry, palm trees is not it.
And the palm trees are not is.
Oh, a car!
Another call, yay!
Yay! Yeah, we want to get some cactus, some nopales, and we're gonna add them to our group here. Hey, welcome to the show. This is Lavonne. How are you?
Hola, bonita. ¿Cómo estás?
I'm so good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good down here in Los Angeles and stuff like that. Really enjoying your show. I want to tell these guests that I love what they're doing because people need to be educated here in the United States. I think their priorities are, they're thinking about the Chargers, they're thinking about the Kardashians, they're thinking about Mickey Mouse stuff in the United States. And one of the things that's an activist.
I like Mickey Mouse. He's one of my favorite characters. No, I understand.
And I was really glad that I actually ended up going down there to support San Diego because San Diego needs a lot of support from activists from all over, including us in Los Angeles. We need to be more united, and stuff like that to make like you said, go talk to your assembly person, go down there and make them to the point, or make her or him, to the point that, man, God, what is this guy or this girl doing here again, and stuff like that. Keep on bugging them for the right reasons,
That reminds me, like, what do you guys think about Senate Bill, 277, the imposed vaccination? Have you heard? Like, it's being rushed through. Like, this is very controversial. I don't care what your stance is on vaccination. You should have a damn right to know and decide what goes in your body.
What they're doing with immigrants that have never had an inoculation in their life. To come into the United States, you need a cocktail.
I don't like it.
And it's just amazing. And they're not sure of how these different inoculations.
You guys want to hear my theory?
Yeah, I want to hear your theory.
I have a theory. Okay?
I like theories.
So, based on all my knowledge and research of sound and frequency and vibration, okay, and the composure of the human body and the elements within it that are essential to balance. If you have an overload of heavy toxic metals, okay, would you not be more receptive to certain vibrations?
What does this have to do with inoculation?
Because most of the ingredients inside of inoculations are that of metal. And think about all this programming and wireless signals being sent out everywhere and Tesla's knowledge being kicked. Why do they want you to be inoculated with metals? Why is there so much metal in our drinking water? Why is there an accumulation of metal in the body, and why are people losing the ancient knowledge in which you can naturally clear said things from your body? Why is what I'm saying right now, what's the word, alternative? You know what I mean? No, this is science. Is it not, sir? Mr. Rocket Scientist?
So we have a member of our beekeeping society who's brother Blaze. He lives in a
Brother Blaze. Up Oceanside.
Up by Oceanside. So
but the guy keeps doing these free bee removals. You know?
So he lives near Camp Pendleton.
Can I have a potty break? Will
Please.
you guys take over? Okay,
We'll
this
take
is
over.
great. Okay.
So he had his bees in this one canyon for years, decades, and then one day they built a cell tower, which was above the area where his bees were, and the bees all died that year. And so next year he bought all brand new bees and he put them in the same place they'd always been for the last 10 years, and again all of his bees died. And he finally got so frustrated he was concerned that perhaps the cell tower was causing a problem. And when I first heard it, I thought, oh, he's a little bit crazy, but no. It turned out he put the bees on the opposite side of the hill in a shadow where there was no cell reception, and they were fine down there. So it was the cell tower. It was that frequency from that cell tower that drove the bees to their wits' end and destroyed the hives that he had put there for decades.
Am I going?
Yeah.
Are you still on there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, it's not that. I can relate to all that being from Acapulco. You know, where we do a lot of stuff organic and stuff like that. And it's just that's why I told the story down there in San Diego when I went down there as an activist from Occupy Los Angeles. That basically I told my story because you know, I was a migrant worker in the field, and companies like Monsanto, they didn't care if they sprayed us while we were in the field. Basically, they were spraying. They didn't care who worked in the field. They needed to spray at the time they needed to spray, and it's just amazing what those chemicals do to human beings and to plants and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Well, what you mentioned originally was making people aware of these things, and what I wanted to say is every town or municipality has some form of government, and people are just not talking about this. It's not brought up, and it's why we say. I was asked, "What do we do?" Well, let's start talking about it, and let's show up locally. It's called, you know, the domino effect. If we can do this in one town, well, the next town is more likely to do it because they don't have to take the heat. They go, we didn't invent this. Like I'm following as far as the bees getting rid of the neonics. I'm following Shorewood and Eugene, Oregon. They've done it, and the bees are coming back. And so and those are just small little places that made a big change. And other people can follow it. But no one's showing up at City Hall and talking about these things. Talking what you just mentioned, all your relatives being sprayed with these chemicals. You don't hear about it.
I think that's
exactly. Actually, we're so in tune here in the United States that people don't understand what's going on in San Quintin. You know, they don't understand where their vegetables and fruits come from. They think it just comes from the market. They don't understand what, before it gets to the market, where it comes from or what country it comes from and stuff like that, you know. And so those people are battling the government right now down there. And, of course, my hometown is battling the government, but for another reason of the 43 students that were killed in September by the government because they wanted to think off the, you know, they're thinking outside the box, and it's not permitted in Mexico, you know.
Yeah, and I know that there's been a huge development in that movement today. Do you have an update for all the people? Like, what's going on in regards to that?
In San Quintin or at the state of Guerrero?
In regards to the 43 students, like, people are upset and they're lashing out, are they not?
Well, I was just talking to my sister yesterday because the battle basically was really tough yesterday. I'm from Acapulco, but the capital of the state of Guerrero is Chilpancingo. And basically they blocked the normalistas from getting to Chilpancingo because the state police and the federal police and the local police knew that those students wanted to come over there and march peacefully, and they weren't allowed. So it became a big chaos, and some of them got through and stuff like that. But still, you had tear gas all over the place and stuff like that. And so it's just a brutal thing. And so basically, we have a civil war going on in my state, the home state, the state of Guerrero.
Exactly, civil war.
Well, that's it as far as trusting the media and trusting your information and trusting your sources. I went to ask Mexicans what's happening in Mexico, the people living there, and man, it's a different story. It is so when I talk to people that live down there close to it and have heard the story, it is so different than what I'm reading in the newspapers.
Oh, definitely. Because your media here. That's why the show Anti-Media, with people like Nick and people like Lavonne, et cetera, is very important because you're not going to hear this from Fox News.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Our site's had a lot of traffic the last week. There's so many quality stories on there, you guys. Please check out theantimedia.org and support our cause and tell your friends, and expose them to alternative knowledge, because that's how change starts. There is a domino effect, and you are a special rare seed. It's so beautiful, how plants propagate. There's this great story about a one seed in the desert, and that it takes only one seed to have the roots go down and reach the deep water and pull moisture up to the air and grow tall to the sky, and then spread more seeds, and then animals become attracted to the area, and then they are encouraged to take their seeds and drop them, and then you have a forest. It takes only one seed, and we are seeds full of seeds, so we can do so many things. So thank you for supporting us. I appreciate it. Such a beautiful thing, and we're able to. What's that?
Thank you very much to you. I said thank you very much to you, Lavonne, and I appreciate you bringing the two guests that you brought in today, because that needs to be basically more education about the subject for the rest of the United States. So I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Do you have any questions for these amazing gentlemen? Eric, you've written several books. Can you tell people the topics in which you write about?
So I've just mostly done articles, periodical articles for different. I've got a fitting. It's a patent that's used for different kinds of spacecraft. So that's what my main job is. I've written a couple of articles about the whales, and then so that was one of my big passions. But also we started an organic movement here in the city of San Diego. So we got beekeeping made legal, which was before it was virtually illegal. You couldn't keep bees in the city of San Diego. Miniature goats and organic gardens. So we've started chickens. I've got chickens also now. You're allowed to have chickens in San Diego. But we modeled our law after Santa Monica, of all places. So it was great. We just went out and found the people who had a law similar to what we wanted, and we were able to duplicate most of it. A little bit of change.
Do you know anything about the cottage food industry law?
No, tell me about it.
Okay, it was invoked in 2012, and it allows anybody in California to operate a business from their home as long as they make less than $100,000 per year, and they can pay one non-family employee $100,000 per year. You have to have your home inspected and approved, but you're able to produce any food that is able to be sold at a farmer's market.
Honey.
Okay? Honey, body butters, anything that you can think of. So this is how we take back California. We all get a cottage food license, and we all do the thing that we love, and you can amend this law because it's new, and I want to amend it so that I can grow food and use that food to cook food and make medicine and vend it to the public. I want to help people get well from the inside out and the outside in. That's my personal dream. Think about the thing that you love to do and how you can fit it within the model of the cottage food industry, Californians. Let's go. And we could have farmers markets all day, every day. And we could literally have a bazaar and people could just commerce all day locally.
Yep.
California, think about it. If everybody grew their own garden and cooked their specialty and we all traded somehow, Like we'd be the
Oh
best
my
fed.
God, the hygiene,
Oh.
the hygiene laws alone.
No, but
We have so much red tape.
No, I'm just saying everybody would have to be approved.
Ugh.
And there's certain laws like you can't have your pets near the kitchen. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And everybody has to take a food handlers class. So we would all be educated on food safety, which would be awesome. And California already grows enough food for most of the country, so I want to taste everybody's like specialty. Can we just get that going? You see my agenda here? This is my agenda. Feed me. I love food. I want to feed everybody, and I want to taste everything that anybody has to make. Go.
It's great. It's just like the local mini microbrewery versus everybody drinking Budweiser. It's much better to have
beer.
all the different varieties we have here locally, all the different like different kinds of honey. You don't just want sous vide honey. You want all the different flavors of honey you can get down here. It's some avocado plant, these different kinds of citrus. I mean,
Avocado.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Avocado honey is so amazing. Could you believe that the farmer's market sold all the other flavors but the avocado one stayed for weeks?
Yeah, it's strong. I love it.
People were afraid of it, but I love the taste.
It's robust. It's dark.
It's like drinking a dark beer. It's like drinking a Guinness. It's delicious.
And then they say the darker the honey, the more antioxidants are in there. And avocado honey is black. I recognize the taste. If you chewed a vitamin tablet by accident, that bitter taste, well, that's what avocado honey, the aftertaste, like pure vitamins.
I love that taste. And that's part of clean eating. Once you get all of those chemicals and toxins out of you, food starts to taste different. And you awaken senses that you may not even remember you had. And you have a whole new different type of eating pattern. Like, I naturally eat seasonally now. My body craves certain things, Like when I'm deficient in iron, I juice beets. I eat beet greens. Like I crave certain things that are really, really rich in iron just naturally. And your body has this innate ability. If you allow it to, you can utilize it. So thank you guys so much for being with me. We're gonna have to have you back again.
It was a pleasure.
We're gonna hear more from these guys, especially about City Hall. It's important to make it out to City Hall here in San Diego on Wednesday.
Wednesday, 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock. Please be there, you guys.
Good night, Lavonne. Buenas noches. Adios.
Much respect to you. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.